In case you don't know already, Chris Jericho is the best thing in pro wrestling at the moment. Well, him and Matt Hardy. But broken Matt Hardy doesn't have a list, and Chris Jericho does. Proof of such a statement has been Jericho's ability to get even the daftest ideas over. The height of these being the list of Jericho. How anyone can make writing on a piece of paper popular is anyone's guess, but that's the gift of Jericho. Drink it in, man. While Chris recently shared a picture of his current list, you just know there's more on it than that. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is 10 things that are probably on Chris Jericho's list. Number 10, Dean Malenko. The list of Jericho isn't the first list Y2J has made. This, of course, came in WCW when he revealed his list of the 1004 holds he knows, which, very nicely, beat out Dean Malenko, who always claimed to be the man of 1000 holds. Given how annoyed Jericho was about this back in 1998, you'd have to assume he's still not totally over the debacle. After all, Malenko even came out and ripped up his list. If that's not a reason to be front and centre, I don't know what is. You're screwed, Dean, and you're on the list. Number 9, Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon and Chris Jericho have been up and down for years. They hated each other, then they loved each other for a while, then it was back to hate again. Hell, Jericho even added and then crossed Steph off his list on Raw recently because she sided with Mick Foley, but then also gave him an opportunity to compete for the Universal Championship. With a relationship as topsy-turvy as theirs, it's simply not possible that Raw's commissioner won't be thrown back on there at a moment's notice. She's doomed, and she doesn't even know it. Number 8, Brock Lesnar. Here's some breaking news that wasn't reported at the time. After Chris Jericho got in Brock Lesnar's face following his controversial SummerSlam match with Randy Orton, the Beast Incarnate got added to the list. Maybe. In reality, I have no idea. But it's got to be a possibility. Jericho standing up to Brock to begin with was something to write home about. Who out of us can say they do the same thing? And seeing as it doesn't sound like the two kiss are made up, Lesnar is a surefire entry. Brock's going to be devastated. Number 7, Goldberg. With all that about Brock Lesnar said, Goldberg is also a definite entry on the list of Jericho. Disliking each other all the way back to WCW, the situation escalated when Jericho started coming to the ring and challenging Goldberg to a match. Obviously, Bill never showed up, Jericho made the ref count to 10, and then he'd jump around like he was the person that had beaten the streak. Goldberg didn't take too kindly to this, assuming Chris was making fun of him, and it built for years until the two actually had a fight during their tenure in the WWE. Amazingly, Jericho came out on top in that skirmish, so what better way to add insult to injury than letting Bill know he's on the list? Could make him cry. Number 6, Sin Cara. We've already established that Chris Jericho doesn't take things lying down. In fact, he does the opposite and gets right in your face should you be doing something he deems not right. It happened with Brock, and it happened again with Sin Cara. But after the Masked Man was apparently being really weird and just making constant noises as the WWE toured through Europe, Jericho sat down with him and told him to stop. For reasons we will never understand, Sin Cara refused and the two got into it on the bus. Isn't good for anyone. The fallout of it all has seen Sin Cara told he has to go to anger management classes, and he was banned from flying back to the States with the rest of the roster. Worse than all this though, is that he will have definitely made the list. Number 5, The Rock. You know who ruined Chris Jericho's WWE debut? The Rock. You know who was a constant thorn in Chris Jericho's side during the early 2000s? The Rock. You know who has a line just waiting for them on the list? The Rock. You'd have to say that the now Hollywood superstar was one of the people that helped Jericho transition from mid-carder to main event level talent. But the Brahma Bull insulted him so many times over the years, you've got to imagine Jericho has already penciled him in. And besides, you just know The Rock will be back at some point for another WWE cameo. If I were him, I'd stay well out of Chris's way. Otherwise. Number 4, Team Kevin and Chris. You may have noticed a few weeks ago on Raw that Chris Jericho was keen to call he and Kevin Owens Chris and Kevin, whereas Owens was keen to call the team Kevin and Chris. This was obviously WWE planting a seed for animosity between the two, and it's undoubtedly something that's going to get Chris all riled up. It's his best friend taking advantage of him and not giving him his due. Sorry Kev, but they are not the actions befitting of a champion. Now, we all know that when Chris Jericho actually does put Kevin Owens on the list, we're all going to go crazy. It's almost like that was the purpose of the list to begin with. But still, Kevin Owens, stop referring to yourself like that and put Chris Jericho first. Number 3. Trish Stratus. If we rewind the clock back all the way to 2004, Chris Jericho, Christian and Trish Stratus were all involved in a weird love triangle that was always destined to end badly for someone. Unfortunately, that person was Chris Jericho. After thinking he had struck up quite the relationship with Trish, it soon transpired he was nothing more than a pawn in a game. Not only did Stratus cost him his WrestleMania 20 match against Christian, but she then also slapped him in the face. Hell hath no fury like a lover's scorn, and in this instance, hell comes in the form of a bullet-pointed list. Number 2. Triple H. If you've never experienced the reaction to Chris Jericho's first WWE World Championship win in 2000, go watch it now. Happening on a Raw during a match with Triple H, fans couldn't believe that Jericho had upset the game, especially as it wasn't even in the main event of the show. He had a little help from Earl Hebner, sure, who counted Tripp's shoulders to the mat faster than CM Punk lost in his UFC debut. But still, Jericho was the champ. Well, until Hebner reversed the decision later on after pressure from Triple H. Worse still, WWE doesn't recognise that as an official reign. So I guess they're both on the list. Number 1. Finishing lists. When Jericho first started to run down his list of 1004 holds, he was cut off. Then in 2015, he tried to finish off said list on Fox Sports, and then he got interrupted again. I, for one, would like to hear about any list that Chris Jericho has, and I imagine Jericho himself feels the same. So if you're someone that enjoys cutting off lists, know that you are now on. Know of anything else that should be on Chris Jericho's list? Let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can even come find me on Twitter at SimonMiller316. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and I'll chat to you again soon.
I will delete WCW. It's over!